0 out of 100 album, yeah? You'd think that's what I had given all of the Beatles albums up to this point, considering how upset people get over me talking about their music, but no. Oh, the stream's not lagging, is it? It's not loading? There we go. We should be back now. We're here. We're doing the Beatles again, because I need views, okay? Let's be honest. Beatles videos outperform anything else on this channel. I am nothing without this band. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Human Reviews channel, and today we are listening, finally, to Sgt. Pepper's, by the Beatles. This album is probably the Beatles' second most popular album, right behind Abbey Road, and probably the album I should have done after Abbey Road, but I decided to do the White Album and Revolver first. But, you know, here we are, finally listening to this one. I have, of course, heard 3 Beatles albums before. I've heard Abbey Road, which I thought was absolutely incredible. One of the best produced albums probably of all time, as well as just an absolute masterclass in pop songwriting. I listened to the White Album, which I thought was a very fun but very bloated album. And I also listened to Revolver, which I thought was similar to the White Album in that it was a lot of fun experiments, but a lot better because it was a lot more compact, if that makes sense. I have heard, I think, only one song off of this album. I've heard A Day in the Life, but besides that, I don't think I've heard anything else. One thing I also want to point out is that these videos are opinion-based. This channel does not exist to provide, like, objective album reviews where I give, like, the most broad, general opinion on it. This is literally just me giving my thoughts and asking you for your thoughts. I see so many people in the comments getting so unnecessarily upset because our opinions differ, when that is the entire point of music discussion online. Please, for the love of God, if you love this album and I end up hating it, or if you hate this album and I end up loving it, feel free to share your opinion. That is literally the entire reason this exists. But be respectful about it in the comments, okay? I see way too many people getting so unnecessarily upset because, like, their favorite song on the album ends up not being my favorite song or whatever. This album came out in 1967. It is 13 tracks, 39 minutes. Not too long, which I like that. I like when an album isn't too long. With that being said, I'm just gonna get straight into this. Oh, Christ. Here we go. Track 1, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This is the first time after the Beatles stopped doing concerts, and mostly Paul's idea of this album. The rest of the members didn't like it very much.
Sgt. Pepper's lonely, Sgt. Pepper's lonely, Sgt. Pepper. I don't really want to start the show, but I thought you might like to know.
Really, really nice transition. Okay, that was a solid opener. That's a really cool way to set up the concept of the album, with it being about this big-ass band right here on the cover. I actually like the crowd cheering sounds. That normally bugs me when people include that in a song, but I thought it worked really well here. I will say it's not my favorite Beatles opener. I do feel like a song like Come Together, I would probably prefer as an opener over this, but still, I thought that was really nice. I give that like an 8.8. Cool opener. Nice. Next track, With a Little Help from My Friends. Oh yeah, one more thing I don't want to hear you getting upset about in the comments is pausing. I pause and talk a lot, okay? Please, that is the point of this, is to pause and talk. Just shut up about pausing and talking in the comments. It bugs the hell out of me when people get annoyed at that. Just go listen to the album if you don't want to see people pausing. Stop pausing, just play the damn song. Okay, is this a Ringo song? Octopus's Garden clears. I will say Octopus's Garden is probably my favorite Ringo song. That bass line is great. Yeah, that is one thing I do want to point out. Ringo, listen, this is my 4th time saying this now. He isn't the best drummer. He isn't the best drummer. He's, like, not even close. He is a good singer, not anywhere close to the best drummer. I don't want to hear anyone saying he's the best drummer. That is such a disrespect to that instrument. Yeah, he's also not the best songwriter. Out of the Beatles, he's definitely the weakest songwriter. Sure, when he cooks, he cooks. Octopus's Garden is a really fun song. I like that song a lot. Honestly, maybe a personal favorite on Abbey Road. But yeah, as a songwriter, he is definitely the weakest of the bunch. JC, you're leaning into it a bit too much. Tone it back a bit.
I want somebody to love. Oh, I get by.
The genius of bring this up. What is that? The Drumeo video? Because I have watched that. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I might have heard this song. Okay, that was sweet. It was kind of cute. It was fun, but definitely. I don't know. I'm just not crazy on that song. It is super basic. Like, that song was so meat and potatoes. Like, very, very basic Beatles. Nice vocal performance from Ringo. A fantastic bass line on that one. It's catchy, it's fun, but it isn't one I would probably see myself returning to all that much, especially in comparison to a lot of other songs that they've done in this style that I think do it way, way stronger than this song does. Give this one like a 7.3. It's still good. It's still definitely in the green. It's not a bad song by any stretch of the imagination. But there's just other Beatles songs in this style that I think do it way better. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is a great song. Caused controversy because it stands for LSD. Wait, JC. Is anything below an 8 mid for you? You do realize mid is meant to be like a 5, right? And then 6 is mixed positive and 7 is good. That's not how like an 8 out of 10 works. 5 is mid, 6 is mixed positive, and 7 is good. Anything below an 8 is mid. That's not how okay.
Everyone smiles as you drift past the flowers.
JC, you're leaning into it too much. No one's gonna be able to tell that you're joking. Jesus Christ. How's the album? It's pretty good so far. 0 out of 10, exactly. It's an awkward fade out. Like a particularly awkward fade out. I honestly did enjoy that song a decent bit, despite the fact that the fade out is very, very awkward at the end there. Yeah, I definitely liked it a lot more than With a Little Help from My Friends. I thought that one was definitely a lot catchier, a lot more instantaneously gripping to me. I thought the vocal performance on that one in particular was fantastic, and the panning on it, I don't know if this is just because of the version I'm listening to, but the panning is super interesting. There are parts where I don't feel like it works that well, and then there are parts where it's like it like improves the song by a lot, and that song I feel like was helped a lot by the panning. I would give that one an 8.3. I feel like I enjoyed the first song a little more, but still that one was really solid. Next track, getting better.
I used to get mad at my school. The teachers that taught me weren't cool. You're doing the best that I can. I've got to admit, it's getting better. I used to be cruel to my woman. I beat her and kept her apart from the things that she...
Wait, hold on, he actually does. Wait, hold on. I beat her and kept her apart from the things she loved? Man, I was mean, but I'm changing my oh my god, wait, hold on. That's, like, actually, huh? He just straight up admits to beating his wife, that's crazy. Despite the, suspicious lyrics, I actually enjoyed that one quite a bit. I give that one, like a flat 8. Listen, I don't know what the hell is going on in the writing on that song. He's like talking about beating his wife, but he's also talking about like their marriage getting better or whatever. I feel like the writing is kind of the weakest point of that song. But the instrumental, honestly, is really sweet on that one. One thing I will say is that a lot of people say that this is the Beatles' best album, and I don't see it in the slightest so far. I'm liking this a lot. I think this is just a really fun, very vibrant, silly concept album, but, like, Abbey Road exists. I would even say I enjoy Revolver more than this up to this point. Really? This over Abbey Road and Revolver? Even the White Album, I would say I enjoyed. Well, up to this point in the album, I'd say I enjoyed the White Album more than this. Sgt. Pepper's is good, but it's definitely not greatest of all time, like a lot of people say. Yeah. Dark Side of the Moon over. This album isn't even comparable to Dark Side of the Moon. They're very, 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 very different albums. Next track, Fixing a Hole. That's a stretch.
I'm feeling the cracks that, and it really doesn't matter if I'm wrong and right.
From 1967, I'm aware. Hold on, that's actually kind of smooth as hell, hold on.
Really doesn't matter if I'm wrong and right, where I belong and right.
That's the second awkward fade out of the album. I will say that, like, the fade outs on this feel particularly out of place. But besides that, that's probably my favorite up to this point. Yeah, that was my favorite up to this point. I think I'd give that one like a flat 9. That one was the smoothest, the most memorable for me as well. The vocals on this one in particular were definitely my favorite thing about it. This is hands down the best vocal performance up to this point too. I just said the same thing twice. I'm a genius. I just still, up to this point, am not seeing the greatest album of all time. Like, that people slap on this. It's like, I get it for Abbey Road. To an extent, I get it for the White Album. But this? I'm really liking it, but, like, Abbey Road's so much better. Still, that song, very good. My favorite up to this point. It's a 9. She's Leaving Home.
Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins.
John wanted to put Hitler and Jesus on the album cover. That sounds like the worst idea imaginable.
Leaving the note that she hoped would say more, she goes down.
Does not look at the album in terms of best of all time and enjoying it. I am just looking at it as an album. But there is still the ringing thought that there's, with an album like this, there's going to be the ringing thought in the back of my head of, does this live up to the absolutely monumental hype behind it? Like, this album is so talked about, it is so iconic, it is listed by so many people as one of, if not the greatest, that I do kind of need to, at least even a tiny bit, evaluate it on that front, if that makes sense. But I'm also looking at it as just an album. I'm trying to think about it in the context of when it was released. I'm trying to think about it in terms of how well it's aged. I will say, of all of the Beatles albums I have heard, I will say this one has maybe shows its age the most up to this point, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but it is holding it back a tiny bit for me. That is, people bring up the point of, oh, but think about it in the context of when it came out. I do, but I kind of care more about how it aged. Like, I care more about how it sounds now than it did 60 years ago. Because it isn't 60 years ago, we're living right now. I want to know, how does this album sound in the context of having 60 years of musical progression? Does it still hold up? I will say it does. I'm really, really enjoying this so far. But I will say it hasn't aged as gracefully as Revolver or Abbey Road, in my opinion. I think the next one I'm going to do is Rubber Soul, then maybe Magical Mystery Tour.
Meeting a man from the motor trade.
Ripping off the lemon twigs, yeah. Okay. Cool. I actually like that one a surprising amount. That one was the most, like, simple and stripped back of all of the songs so far, and honestly, for that reason, it's ended up being one of my favorites. Maybe even my favorite up to this point. I'll give that like a 9.2, I think. That was just a really sweet, surprisingly very gorgeous moment on the album. Fantastic string arrangement. Absolutely love the vocals and the backing vocals on that one as well. Wasn't paying too much attention to the writing on that one though, and maybe if maybe if I go back and listen to it, paying attention to the lyrics, it might either grow or shrink. But honestly, yeah, that's my favorite up to this point. Really solid. Next track, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite.
The benefit of Mr. Kite, there will be a show tonight on trampoline. In this way, Mr. K will challenge the world. Dances the wall.
Okay, suddenly turned into clown music. I'm not crazy on this switch up, but it kind of works. Flyer for a circus performance is what sparked this track. The lyrics are pulled from a flyer. It's online somewhere. Okay. That honestly makes sense as to why the lyrics don't make any goddamn sense. That is the most, like, out there, ridiculous song up to this point. And while I feel like it maybe does, it is a bit heavy in that, I feel like it does lean into it a bit much at certain points. I still found myself enjoying that track a decent bit. I'd give that one like an 8.4. The ridiculousness is both the best thing and the worst thing about it, because I feel like it adds a lot of character, and it definitely makes it one of, like, the more standout songs on the album up to this point. Like, that one is definitely the most memorable. But again, the only thing that brings it down from not being up at, like, a 9 or even maybe a 10 is the fact that I do feel like it is just a bit much at certain points, especially with it just randomly switching up into that waltzy clown music sounding part towards the middle of the track. Within You, Without You. Song is 5 minutes. Listen to the most recent remaster. We are too far into this album for that now. I don't get... huh? What? Alright, I just want to stop in here to say that I actually now disagree with most of what I say in this section. I've re-listened to the song, I listened to the 2017 mix, and it's actually grown on me quite a bit. So just know that most of what I say in this section about this song, I don't agree with now. I'm so confused. I have no clue what the hell is going on with this song. Like, they've done songs in this style that I've really enjoyed, but this one is just, there's something really, like, off about this. Like, the songwriting here just doesn't feel anywhere near as strong as a lot of the other songs they've done in this style. The instrumental itself doesn't come anywhere close to, like... This is like, I just honestly find this song kind of boring up to this point. And I don't, it feels like this one should probably be my favorite up to this point, but huh. Listen, the Beatles have done other songs in this style that I think just work better. Let me show you an example. What's this? Let's do Tomorrow Never Knows. Let's take Tomorrow Never Knows, for example. Where is it? Here it is.
It is not dying. It is not
Firstly,
dying.
not this song. 10. Actual perfection. So good. One of the Beatles' best. This song has a lot of the same... It has the Eastern influence. It's trying to be very trippy. It incorporates even some of the same sounds. But it also mixes it with, like, the very distinct Beatles flavor. And it has its own Beatles spin on it, which honestly brings it up to being one of, if not my favorite Beatles song. But then I go back to Within You, Without You, and the song is just kind of boring. It doesn't feel like it has a particular Beatles spin to it. It just sort of feels like them just doing a style and dragging it out to 5 minutes. And the song honestly left me kind of bored by the end. It just feels like a worse version of other Beatles songs that it feels like a worse version of a style that they've done way better in other tracks further down the line, particularly on a song like Tomorrow Never Knows. So for that reason, I'm feeling like a 4 on that track, like a flat 4. Like I said before, the song has grown on me quite a bit, and I would now give it an 8.2 out of 10. Listen to Tomorrow Never Knows, Within You Without You from Love. I'll remind me at the end of the album, and then I'll do that. Next track, When I'm 64. 4 is Wild. Man, that song was boring as hell. I'm just too young. Don't give me that crap.
Birthday greetings, bottle of wine. If I'd been out till 2:45.
Song is silly but charming. I actually kind of agree. McCartney wrote the song when he was 16 years old. He used to whistle it when they were younger. That's why his voice sounds like he was younger. Oh, cool.
Drop me a line stating point of view.
I agree. Very cute song. I wouldn't give that one a 10. I don't think it's like the best song on the album up to this point, but that was very sweet, very silly, but also very charming, okay? I can't hate that. It had a really nice shuffly sound to it. It was very fun, very bumpy. Well, it had a very bumpy energy to it. But it also kept it very simple, which I like. They didn't try and overdo it. I give that one, honestly, like a high 8, like literally like an 8.9, bordering on a 9. Next track, Lovely Rita.
Between us, when it gets dark, I tow your heart away. Lovely Rita, meet a maid.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Oh, lovely Rita, meet a maid. Where would I be without you?
You're right, it does. I've not listened to Rubber Soul yet. That's probably going to be the next Beatles album I do. Okay. I actually like that one a surprising amount. I actually loved that song. That was like... It did remind me a little bit of the previous track in that it was very silly, very cheeky. But I honestly feel like... There we go, my microphone stopped working there for a sec. Yeah, that song was very silly and very cute like the last one, but I feel like it did it arguably even better. I think that the instrumental on that one is even more engaging than the previous track. I think that the vocals on that one are super, super strong, and even just like the writing, like there's multiple individual lines that have me grinning and that I thought worked super well. I give that one like a 9.3, I think. I honestly love that one. Rubber Soul strangely has cleaner production than Revolver. I'm actually excited for Rubber Soul. That's arguably the Beatles album that I haven't heard yet that I'm the most excited to get into. Next track, Good Morning, Good Morning.
Nothing to do, it's up to you. I've got nothing to say, got to roam, then you're in town.
Very interesting outro. I honestly like that a lot. At the end, they're having all like the animal sounds. That was actually a really unique, surprising way to close the track off. Yeah, that song was one of the most fun up to this point. Honestly, it had a lot of fun stuff going on with the time signature. There was like, if I don't like subdivide it, it's like there was sections in 12. There was a bit that was in 10 as well, and then I think there was maybe even a couple bars in there that were in 9, and then obviously everything else just being in 4/4. They were actually doing some interesting time signature stuff there, which I really appreciated. Instrumental on that song, also really fun. Production on that one, surprisingly, maybe like my favorite mix song up to this point. Yeah, I thought that one was maybe even my favorite on the album so far. I give that like a 9.5. The hell is it? Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise.
One, two, three, four.
Oh, great transition to into a day in the life. I honestly really like that. That's a really nice little interlude piece going into a day in the life. I thought that's actually like, oh, that's a reprise that actually works surprisingly super well. The reprise better than the first. Yeah, I like that more than the actual opener. Honestly, I give that one a 9. Yeah, the placement of that actually works really well in terms of the flow. It's a really nice bridge in between Good Morning and A Day in the Life. There we are. The final song already. A Day in the Life. I have heard this song before, obviously.
I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. He blew his mind out in a car. Nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Lords.
The entire, like, first 2 minutes of this song are really interesting. The way the vocals come from, like, the right channel and then slowly go back and then around to the left. I really like that. It kind of, like, makes the first half of this song for me. That progression is definitely, like, the most interesting thing about it. And it's, like, just tickles a particular itch in my brain. I keep saying tickles an itch. It should be scratches an itch. I feel like tickling it would make it worse. Scratches a particular itch in my brain that I just find really satisfying. I also love the writing here. This is honestly the strongest written song on the album as well. It's such an interesting close to this album in terms of like lyrical themes, but also sonically as well. I love the way it builds up here as well.
Fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head. Found my coat and grabbed my hat.
This song is just so fun. Unironically, this is one of like the best Beatles album closers.
4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire.
It's so creative, it's so fun, it's so unique. It's much like it's just such an oddly like menacing dark note to end the album off on, especially considering how like cheeky and like upbeat and a little silly some of the album has been up to this point. Ending with this is very surprising, but it feels fitting. I forget if there's something at the end. Oh yeah, we got this high-pitched ringing that like oh yeah, it ends with this. I forgot about this. Straight up, I think this is like the best closer to any Beatles album that I've heard up to this point. I even like this a little bit more than the end. I would genuinely give this song like a high 9 to a 10. I think that this is such an absolutely amazing statement to end the album off on. Such an iconic song from the band as well. It feels so... it feels a little tonally out of place, but also is such a fitting way to end the album at the same time, somehow. Tomorrow Never Knows... Oh, wait, no, Tomorrow Never Knows, actually. This is my second favorite closer. Tomorrow Never Knows is my favorite closer. That is correct. I forget that Tomorrow Never Knows closes that album off. This is such an incredible closer. It's like the longest song on the album, but it doesn't feel like it in the slightest. It feels like the most fleshed out. It's the most lyrically interesting. The very menacing, very dark, almost creepy undertone to this song is so cool as well. yeah, I have literally no problems with this closer. I would probably give this, yeah, high 9 to a 10. We got through this album surprisingly very quick. That was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. Real quick, before I give my final thoughts on the album, I am going to add up my scores, and then I will tell you what my overall score for the album is. Sounds about right. I am feeling an 8.4 out of 10 on this album. That has since grown to be an 8.7. So it's a very good album. But honestly, surprisingly, this is my least favorite Beatles album I've heard up to this point. My previous least favorite was the White Album. But no, I ended up enjoying this one just a little bit less. This is still a great album. Don't get me wrong, I still think this album has some absolutely incredible standout highlights, like A Day in the Life, or Good Morning, or even She's Leaving Home as well. Like, this album has some absolutely fantastic tracks, and some of my favorite Beatles songs do land on this album. But I feel like, to me, it's just the least consistent that I've heard up to this point, and I do feel like, in the grand scheme of the band's catalog, it is a little overrated, especially when I compare it to how incredible Abbey Road is, or how fun and instantly gripping Revolver is. I feel like this one just doesn't quite reach those heights, but still, it's great regardless. Like, the album has its reputation for a reason. I just don't think it personally quite lives up to it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and whatnot. We're very close to 1,000 subs, and we're trying to get there by September, which hopefully we'll be able to. Yeah, let me know what you think of this album down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? How does it rank in comparison to other Beatles albums for you? Let me know what other albums you'd like me to listen to in the future down below in the comments. We will be doing probably Rubber Soul as the next Beatles album that I cover, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well. And yeah, links in the description to my Discord and my gaming channel as well. And I'll also start linking my album of the year as well. I should probably start doing that too. But yeah, I will see you all whenever I next stream or upload. Bye bye.